The Tennessee Titans have just fired their head coach, Brian Callahan. And my first reaction was thank God, because Cam Ward can finally breathe now. But I'm glad I got to wait to do this video. I've been seeing some mixed things. Of course, you get the former coaches and former players saying that this is totally unfair and that this is probably not the best thing for a young quarterback in Cam Ward. But I'm here to tell you that this is the best thing to happen to Cam Ward since being on the Tennessee Titans. And let me tell you why. Look, if you guys love NFL content, you came to the right place. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We do videos like this. We do podcasts along with my co-host Max, breakdowns, film. We're really big during the draft, so you don't want to miss anything that we put out. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like on this video, and make sure to comment down below any thoughts, opinions that you guys have. All right, now let's start throwing some numbers out here. Brian Callahan was 4-19 with his time with the Tennessee Titans. Absolutely terrible. I hate to say that there has been some coaches that have done a lot worse than him, but Brian Callahan, if you look at the Titans the last year and a half, yes, they're not the most talented team in the league, but they most definitely have enough talent to be competitive in these games. But when you look at this Titans team, their coaching has been an absolute issue, and it starts with Brian Callahan just not being able to manage the game. I can't remember how many times I was watching a Titan game and just feeling so bad for the quarterback or the team in general just on how Callahan was managing the game. Whether it was doing bad challenges, having bad time management, or just making the complete wrong decision when it came down to game situations, like whether to kick a field goal or go for it on 4th down. Brian Callahan is a good coach. He's just not a great head coach. I can see him succeeding as an offensive coordinator, but he's just not the right man for this particular job. And to be honest, the Titans have not been the best of Brian Callahan. They have been an absolute mess the last few years. It has been absolutely downhill ever since the moment that they traded star wide receiver A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to show you guys this timeline of the Titans since December 2022, when the first big move that happened was firing GM John Robinson. And to be honest, John Robinson, before he came to trading A.J. Brown, the Titans was a well-run organization. Mike Vrabel was a great head coach. John Robinson, the GM, was making some great moves like signing Ryan Tannehill, drafting Derrick Henry, drafting A.J. Brown. So the nucleus for the Tennessee Titans was really good. But I think the mistake of trading A.J. Brown just totally derailed everything, with the combination of Ryan Tannehill falling off an absolute cliff with his game. And then a year later, they wind up firing Mike Vrabel, which was an even worse decision. But I get it. New GM that comes in, Mike Vrabel's not their guy. They want to move on from that old Tennessee Titans era and move on with the new one. They also hire a new GM who also winds up getting fired while Brian Callahan is on the job. And I mean, I've seen some pretty bad turnover coming from a Raider fan. I know what this looks like, but this has been pretty bad from the Titans. And the writing was on the wall for Callahan. The new GM that's in, he is just not his guy. And I wouldn't be surprised if they wind up firing this GM too and going a completely new route. But the main thing is that this is great for Cam Ward, as crazy as that sounds. I'm going to pop up some names on the screen. What do all these guys have in common? They're all the #1 picks. And number 2, all these guys as head coaches got fired in their first year. Bryce Young with Frank Reich, fired. Trevor Lawrence with Urban Meyer, done. That turned out terrible. Jared Goff with Jeff Fisher, an absolute train wreck. And then Baker Mayfield with Hugh Jackson, also an absolute train wreck. And now we got Cam Ward with Brian Callahan. And I'm just going to say this, no matter how you feel about these quarterbacks currently, I think in hindsight, all these guys that winded up getting their head coach fired was the best thing for them. Caleb Williams currently, the verdict is still out, but he definitely looks a lot better than last season with Eberflus. I know how you guys feel about Bryce Young. The verdict is still obviously out, but he definitely looks better than what he did his rookie year with Frank Wright. Trevor Lawrence has earned himself a pretty good contract. I know a lot of people are flip-flop on Trevor Lawrence, but I'm just going to say this. The dude won a playoff game after firing Urban Meyer, so it obviously was the best thing for him. Jared Goff, with a match made in heaven with Sean McVay, ended up going to a Super Bowl. That was a great move for Jared Goff. And Baker Mayfield ended up winning a playoff game with the Cleveland Browns after firing Hugh Jackson. People would love to have a situation like Jaden Daniels. Same head coach, same offensive coordinator, 2 straight years in a row. But the reality is a lot of these first overall picks, they go into some horrible situations. They're on the worst team in the league. And yes, part of this is banking on the talent of Cam Ward, but I do think he's going to be absolutely amazing in about 2 or 3 years. And I know it's easy to make fun of Cam Ward right now. The dude only has 1 win to his career. He looked terrible on Sunday against the Raiders, but I'm not worried at all. The guy is ultra talented. I believe he's going to work out in the NFL. I'm not going to guarantee that it's with the Titans, but that dude has way too much talent to not be a starting quarterback and a competent quarterback in the NFL. Now let's talk about where the Titans have to go from here. Let's start off with the coaches. Of course, there's going to be some candidates that wind up coming along the lines because of NFL firings and all that stuff. But as far as the people that are projected to be available, that's what we're going to go off of. The first one is a fun one. He's a former Raiders head coach, Jon Gruden. He ended up just getting this whole lawsuit situated with the NFL, so he's eligible to come back and coach. Number one, he's an offensive-minded coach. I think he will be great with Cam Ward. He has a couple videos with Cam Ward. He obviously has a relationship with him, and I think Jon Gruden is going to be hungry to have that second chance in the NFL and really prove himself. And the Raiders offense wasn't looking all that bad when he was coaching them before all those emails wound up leaking. Now that's a fun one. Let's go into some more realistic ones. Let's go into a guy like Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. He's obviously worked with Josh Allen. He's been coaching in really big games. I would love Joe Brady to get a head coaching job and see what he can do with a young quarterback like Cam Ward. The third and final one is Cliff Kingsbury. Obviously, he has a match made in heaven right now with Jaden Daniels. But if the Commanders wind up going on a deep playoff run like they did last year, Cliff Kingsbury is going to be a very hot candidate for the next head coach in line. He was already one last year. So maybe he sees an opportunity with a young quarterback again in Cam Ward, who's ultra talented and can turn this whole thing around with the Tennessee Titans. As you guys can get the theme of all these coaches that I suggested, they're all offensive coordinators. And if you notice with Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, and that whole list that I showed you, all those guys' second coach was a offensive-minded head coach. I truly believe when you put all your chips in the number 1 overall pick and a guy like Cam Ward, you might as well double down because you want to get the most out of your investment. Now, as far as the roster goes, they got a long way to go. First of all, I would trade Calvin Ridley. He makes way too much money. I would just get rid of him. Get as much draft compensation that you can get. As far as young players, I like Tajay Spears. Elick Ayomanor looks like a solid young wide receiver that they can keep. The defense is going to need a lot of work, but they do have Jeffrey Simmons that they can either get some draft compensation or maybe build something around him. We'll have to wait and see. But look, I've been seeing a lot of things around the internet about this whole Cam Ward situation being terrible. But look, I wanted to make this video because I was so relieved for a guy like Cam Ward. I know that's crazy to say, but I truly believe that this is the best thing for him. And it had to happen. I'm glad it didn't happen at the end of the season. You might as well do it right now. And I think Cam Ward is going to follow into all these former number 1 overall picks and have some type of improvement next season. But as always, what do you guys think? Do you think the Titans made the right decision? How do you guys feel about Cam Ward going into the future? Let me know in the comment section down below. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure to hit the like on this video. It helps out a bunch. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.